In this video, I'm walking through the 10 factors that should be in place on every single category or collection style page to make sure search engines can understand it's a high intent navigational or commercial page, and you could rank for as many keywords as possible, targeting the exact keywords you want. First thing to do is think about and understand keyword targeting and intent alignment, as I just said. So you want to figure out the primary keyword or phrase for that collection page. Now, as a side note, the benefit here is you can have the same product in multiple collections. So if it makes sense to have a collection for industrial hydraulic cylinders, you can do that. If it makes sense to have a collection for industrial hydraulic cylinders and a general collection for hydraulic cylinders, you can do that. You can have two separate collections and have the same products in each. However, if there are individual products that only match industrial and there are separate products that match only hydraulic, but there is some overlap, you can have the same product in both of these collections. And you can also have these same collections with all the exact same products in there. The biggest key is focusing on and understanding the intent of this page and the primary keyword targeting. So if it would make sense to rank for hydraulic cylinders by itself and industrial hydraulic cylinders, which it would based on previous videos I've done, you can have these individual collections with optimized content and work to rank specifically for these individual terms on each of their own pages. Then you would add secondary long tail modifiers to include variants, custom, bulk, wholesale, type, sizes, applications, any of those types of things. And the benefit here is you're also going to work to rank for dozens or hundreds of additional keywords instead of just the primary key phrase. The biggest thing here is figuring out if it makes sense. If you don't sell bulk hydraulic cylinders, then you don't necessarily need that content on that page. So understanding your product, obviously, how it's bought and the types of buyers you're looking for. Now, number two, the biggest thing here is figuring out the H tags and content hierarchy you need for an on-page structure that's optimized correctly. I'll just change the examples here to fit more so with what we're talking about. So hydraulic cylinders, for example, would be a solid H1 if that was that collection page. If it was your industrial hydraulic cylinders page, then your H1 should likely include industrial hydraulic cylinders. H2s then would be used for major groupings, so popular types or applications, materials, things like that. And then H3s would be nested underneath the H2s. And this would include, if you had a single page for hydraulic cylinders, to include information about industrial on that page. In general, it's going to be best for you to make sure you have the H tags on your page set up and structured in this fashion. H1, then as many H2s, H3s nested underneath those, and using primarily H1, H2, H3. But if needed, you can go H4, H5, or H6. That's very rarely going to be necessary for you. Number three, descriptive copy above and below products. And I've talked about this on numerous videos, and with almost every single client I work with, the big key is working to get intro copy above the product grid and then supporting copy as much as necessary underneath the product grid. And a perfect example of this is actually a B2C site here, Gymshark. This is their t-shirts and tops collection. And you can see here a little bit of intro text above the products, then some internal links to other collections or product pages, then all of the products on this page. And then as we get to the bottom of the page here, more optimized content explaining about the product with more internal links to other related collections or products. And then FAQ section that is marked up correctly to work to rank for additional keywords and phrases. And the benefit here of this, again, while the market is slightly different than a B2B market in terms of traffic potential and likely search volume, even still, if we look at this collection alone, you can see this individual page on their site gets 10,000 visitors at least. This is likely underreported and ranks for over 2,000 different keywords. So when you're thinking about page intent and content potential on that page and traffic potential for that page, understanding that you're not just going to rank for one individual keyword and you're likely going to rank for dozens or hundreds or even thousands of keywords is why this is so important to make sure you have content that is set up and optimized correctly to completely cover the topic. And that is why setting this up and making sure this part here is done correctly on any category or collection page, or really any page on your site, is so critical. Next, internal linking and navigation, kind of like I just mentioned with the Gymshark example, making sure you're linking to parent categories and to subcategories or products within each of those pages as well. The biggest key here is helping search engines and algorithms understand how your content relates to each other and what other pages should be important should also rank as well. Technical SEO number 5, figuring out and making sure you have canonical setup if necessary, faceted navigation, page speed and core web vitals, and then mobile usability. Now these, as long as you have these set up well enough, unless you have a canonical issue or some other URL structure issue, page speed and mobile usability is something that is nice to have, but as long as your pages are loading faster than a few seconds, you're generally not going to have major issues. I've seen cases where core web vital stats are extremely poor and the site ranks very well. So this is something that I generally recommend working to have cleaned up when possible, but there are lots of times limitations with either hosting or website structure, setup, things like that, that may cause issues with core web vitals specifically or page speed. But again, if you think about it from a user experience perspective, if it's taking somebody multiple seconds to get to content on your website or to get to a product, chances are they're going to bounce because most people don't want to wait 5 seconds for a page to load. Number 6, schema and structured data. This is very important now especially for ranking this is important to not only rank in organic, but also in language models. So making sure you have any structured data types that should be on your page set up. Another one to add in here would be FAQ page, if that is something that you have. So again, with the Gymshark example, if you have questions and answers on the page, adding in that markup type as well can help you make it easier for search engines to understand what type of data that is. Number 7, visual optimization. Optimize product images, featured or banner image, and then compress images and enable lazy loading. This, again, is very similar to number 5 here, technical SEO, and related to technical SEO. But also, if you have high quality images, it makes it easier for somebody to understand your product and determine whether or not it is something they would like to buy potentially. Number 8, engagement and conversion signals. Strong call to actions, of course, trust elements, and then making sure it's a smooth process as somebody is visiting your website makes it easiest for them to view your products, view more info, request a quote, and complete the process that you're looking for them to take when they're visiting your website. Number 9, crawl depth and internal authority. In general, key collection pages should be no more than 2 clicks from the homepage. This varies depending on how many collection pages you have, but the fewer clicks you can have for somebody to get to a primary page on your site and a search engine, the easier it is going to be for that page to rank for the keywords you want to rank for. One of the projects I worked on, we focused heavily on crawl depth. We reduced crawl depth significantly for one of their primary collections that was not ranking well, worked on internal linking, and also descriptive copy. Added significant amount of copy with internal links to it and reduced the crawl depth so that it was actually linked to from the homepage. And that collection went from essentially getting no traffic on their site compared to some of their other high traffic collections to being one of the highest traffic pages on their website. And the key for this is it made it very easy for search engines to understand this page was primary for the keywords and phrases, and we had enough content on there that they could rank for dozens or hundreds of additional keywords as well. Number 10, AI optimization, or AEO or GEO or AIO or SGE or LLM or whatever you want to call it. The key here is making it easy for language models to understand your content and work to rank for the keywords and phrases that are structured well within your content and answered concisely within your content as well. There are a number of ways to work to build content and structure content this way. If you look at how language models process content, the key is to make it as easy as possible for a language model to understand the entity relationships between different content, and working to set up your content in this fashion, especially with FAQs and other similar data types, makes it easiest for LLMs to understand your content. Hopefully you got some value from this video. If you did, subscribe to my channel. I'd greatly appreciate that. That's it. I'll see you on the next one.